everyone, and welcome back to Learn Spanish Easily with Sergio Manso. It's been a long time since we last met, but I was really busy till last week. I was working on other stuff, so I didn't have enough time to make our videos, but now I'm here back again. In this lesson we are going to see what we call in Spanish el pretérito perfecto compuesto. As for grammar, it's similar to the English present perfect, but as for meaning, it's got nothing to do with it. If you remember, in English the present perfect conveys a different meaning from that conveys the simple past. In Spanish, both pretérito perfecto simple, your simple past, and pretérito perfecto compuesto, your present perfect, convey the same meaning. We can use either one or the other and we use them to talk about actions in the past. If you remember, I uploaded a while ago, some months ago, I uploaded a video in which I explain how we Spanish speakers make sentences to express that an action started in the past and the situation is still the same in the present. That would be the present perfect in English. But as we don't have that in grammar, we have to use some strategies. And if you if you didn't watch that video, it's the one that's got to do with the verb venir haciendo algo to have been doing something from the past up to now. This is the way in which we convey that meaning of an action that started in the past and the situation up to the present is the same. With venir, usually with venir or llevar. For example, llevo mucho tiempo buscando una casa. I've been looking for a house to rent for a long time. Vengo estudiando muchísimo para el próximo examen. I've been studying a lot for the next exam. So I repeat, our present perfect, pretérito perfecto compuesto, has nothing to do with this. Its meaning is the same as our pretérito perfecto simple. We can use either of them to convey the same meaning. Let's see. In Argentina, where I live, from the center of the country down to the south, we rarely use this tense, the tense that we are going to see now. But it's very important for you to learn it because of many reasons. In the north of our country, it is used by speakers, and in the rest of Latin America and in Spain, it's very used too. And besides, in Argentina, we don't use it. In Argentina, it's got to do with formality versus informality. So, in everyday conversation, we rarely use this tense, but we happen to hear it on television, on the radio, in programs that have to do with news or documentaries, and of course in the newspapers and in scientific magazines, in texts for different careers at university, etc. So it is very important to learn this tense, and besides, the past participle is always used as an adjective in Spanish, and we are going to see it in this tense, so it is very important. I repeat, we rarely use it here in the center of Argentina, down to the south, but in all the rest of Spanish-speaking countries, it is very, very used, and its meaning is the same as that of the pretérito perfecto simple. So, different from English, we can say, and we many, many times do, we can express something that we did in the past with this tense. Whereas in English, you cannot say, for example, I have eaten with my friends outside last night. That doesn't exist in English at all. You'd rather, you have to say, I ate, yesterday I ate with my friends outside. But in Spanish, we can say both. So in Spanish, we can express the same situation, that is to say, the meaning is the same, by using either tenses. Either the pretérito perfecto simple that we've already seen, and the pretérito perfecto compuesto. Ayer comí afuera con mis amigos. Yesterday I went out with my friends and we ate something. Or we can also say, ayer he comido. This is the tense that we haven't seen yet and that we are going to see now. Ayer he comido con mis amigos. And sorry, I skipped the afuera. But Spanish is very flexible when it comes to word order, so I can put the adverb at the end. Ayer he comido con mis amigos afuera. Literally, the translation would be, yesterday I had eaten with my friends outside, but in English it doesn't exist. So forget about that translation. Both are translated into English as yesterday I went out with my friends and we ate something outside. In Spanish, we make these sentences as in German. I mean, in German, if some of you know German, if some of you if some of you can speak German, you know what I'm talking about. In German, the version of the present perfect in English is used all the time in everyday conversation. And when it comes to formality, in the newspaper, on TV, etc., they use their simple past. Well, you know, every language and every culture is different. But in German, they say, like I did before, gestern habe ich, zum Beispiel, gestern habe ich mit meinen Freunden draußen gegessen. Gestern habe ich mit meinen Freunden draußen gegessen. So again, this literally would be translated into English as, yesterday I have eaten outside with my friends. You know that that doesn't exist. But in German, they use that tense all the time, except in formal situations. Let's go back to Spanish. So, in conclusion, it's the same in Spanish if I say ayer comí con mis amigos afuera o ayer he comido con mis amigos afuera. They mean exactly the same. Bear that in mind, please. Besides, it's easier for you because if you don't remember how to conjugate a verb in a specific tense, but you do how to do it in other tense, I mean, pretérito perfecto simple o compuesto, you choose the one that you remember and you express the same meaning. So it's easier in that sense. Let's see how we conjugate verbs in the, so I'm going to write the name of the tense. Pretérito perfecto compuesto. Why compuesto? Because we use an auxiliary verb here. In English, for the present perfect, you use the verb to have. In Spanish, we use the verb haber. And if you remember, I told you and I taught you in one of the other videos that we made some months ago that haber has two meanings. As a main verb, it is only conjugated in the third person of the singular, I, and it means there is, there are. And as an auxiliary verb, it is the auxiliary verb for making this tense. So in this tense, the same as in English, what we are going to conjugate is the auxiliary verb, and right to the right, and exactly on its right, we'll have the past participle of the main verb. And as in English, it never changes. It's the same for all persons, so we only conjugate this one. We are going to see the conjugation for regular verbs today. Then we are going to see some irregular verbs, very important ones. But for now, let's see regular verbs. Otherwise, it would be a lot of information. I am going to write the pronouns, the personal pronouns, on the left, but remember that in Spanish, most times we don't use them. We are going to conjugate the auxiliary verb, and we are going to see the endings of the main verbs. We are going to see the conjugation of the verb, the auxiliary verb, haber. So remember, it'll be always the same, and this conjugation will depend on the verb we are talking about. For now, let's see the conjugation of haber, that it is always the same. Yo he, tú has, él, ella, ha, nosotros, nosotras, hemos, vosotros, vosotras, habéis, in Spain, remember, ustedes, in Latin America, han, ellos, ellas, han. So, in this tense, it'll always be like this. What happens here? Please pay attention bear this in mind, what I'm going to say now, because it's very, very important and it's very useful. It's the rule for making these past participles. Do you remember that in Spanish we have 3 possible endings in the infinitive? I guess you do. The er and ir. Because here I'm going to write participio pasado. What you call in English past participle. Participio pasado. This is what we are going to put here, the 3rd column in English. So this is very important. Verbs ending in ar will have here always the ending ado. Now we are going to see it with a verb, with specific verbs. Whereas those ending in er and ir will have the ending ido. So only these 2 endings are the 2 possible ones in Spanish for regular verbs, I repeat, only regular verbs. So any verb that we conjugate in this tense, if it's regular, will have one of these 2 endings, depending on the ending of the infinitive. For now, we are going to see only the ending when it comes to conjugation. Why? Because when we see, not in this lesson, but later we'll see that past participles can function in the sentence as adjectives, as the same as in English. In that case, remember that in Spanish we have to change the ending of adjectives according to gender and number. In that case, we'll see some changes here, but not for now. Only for the conjugation, these 2 will be the 2 only endings. No more than these 2. Well, now let's choose one verb for each group. And I'm going to write the root in black and the endings in red, so that you see the regularity throughout the conjugation. Let's take the very common verb that we use, that we always use to explain conjugations in general. Of this first group, it's the verb amar, to love. So I'm going to write the root first, the same as in the present or in the past. Remember that the root is am, because it's regular. And if you remember what I wrote here some minutes ago, the ending will be ado, and it'll always be ado. It doesn't change. The same as in English, this is always the only possible form of the participio pasado or past participle. Yo he amado, tú has amado, él, ella ha amado, nosotros, nosotras hemos amado, vosotros, vosotras habéis amado, ustedes han amado, ellos, ellas han amado. So the translation into English is, it's in 2 possible ways because of the meaning. Either I have loved or I loved. Some years ago, I loved a person who was very special for me, etc. Remember that in Spanish, we can do that, the same as in German, for instance, or in Italian, or many other languages. I say this because in English, I repeat, it's impossible to say, I have loved someone last year. In that case, you say, I loved someone very, very much last year. But in Spanish, we say, yo amé, that we've already seen that tense, o yo he amado. Let's see. So here you have loved, you loved, he, she has loved, he, she loved, etc. Now let's see the other two groups. Let's use the verb comer. Do you remember its meaning? Hoy al mediodía comí, hoy al mediodía yo he comido ensalada. I'm lying, I'm just making an example. He comido ensalada y arroz. I usually eat much more than that. Not just a salad and some rice, but it's just an example. Today I had a salad and some rice for lunch. That would be the translation. Com is the root as it's regular. Sorry. Comer, to eat, ends in er. Do you remember what happens with those ending in er and ir? The ending will always be ido. Yo he comido, tú has comido, él, ella ha comido, nosotros, nosotras hemos comido, vosotros, vosotras habéis comido, ustedes han comido, ellos, ellas han comido. I have eaten, you have eaten, he has eaten, I ate, you ate, he ate, etc. And finally, let's see one verb ending in ir. Remember that the ending will be ido, as in those ending in er. Let's choose the verb vivir, to live. That is the verb that we chose that I chose when I made that video explaining the pretérito perfecto simple, your simple past. Yo viví, tú viviste, él vivió, ahora yo he vivido, tú has vivido, ella vivió. So the root is always viv, as in the pretérito perfecto simple and the subjunctive mood that we saw too. So, yo he vivido, tú has vivido, él, ella ha vivido, nosotros, nosotras hemos vivido, vosotros, vosotras habéis vivido, ustedes han vivido, and finally, ellos, ellas han vivido. I have lived, you have lived, she has lived, I lived, you lived, she lived, etc. As you can see, it's not that hard. It'll be harder when we see irregular verbs, the same as in all languages. But for now, I want you to see the mechanism of the conjugation in this tense. So, people, I hope you're doing well, and we have come to the end of this video. Hemos llegado al final de este video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do it. You just have to click on the button that says subscribe under this video and on the right of the screen. It says subscribe in red, and with the letters in white, I guess. And click the bell button so that, well, then we are going to see irregular verbs, and then we are going to see too how to use these past participles as adjectives. We do it all the time, so it's very important to learn this tense. Well, see you in the next video. I hope you missed me. Bye bye, see you.